larger strategic tool. You need a different set of tools. You need strategic tools in your kit now, in your kitty. Because let's start with the problem we have in this fight against terror or whatever it is, all the insurgencies, whether you want to talk about Nigeria being, that's piracy in GOG, being the largest incident of piracy in the whole world, for goodness sake. I mean, you see that we have to look at important tools. For example, we need to look at extrapolation of threats, looking at cause and effect. We see that Boko Haram is metastasizing because it's not been put to bed, as it were. Not necessarily because of the poverty issues that have been bandied around. There are many poor people around the world, and they don't resort to insurgency. However, if you have a situation where people are enabling an insurgency, the insurgents are able to recruit from the local population, you are not able to harvest intelligence from the from the population because they cannot trust you. You don't have intelligence assets within those communities that are being terrorized. Then you are fighting blind, as it were. So that's what needs to change, and that's what the new chiefs have to focus on. We have something we call threat vulnerability integration. You have to look at what is the threat out there, what are the vulnerabilities that exist, okay, and then what are the tools you need to mitigate those threats. And you know, that is a whole new area, or not new, that's a whole large area of intellection, of thinking, of problem solving. This is our problem here. We often go to a problem with a solution, but we've not thought through the solution properly. What we call that intuitive thinking. That's, yeah.
Okay. All right. Two questions here. I mean, excellent profiles the new service chiefs have. But a story resonating more than the news of the change of guard is that the current chief of army staff was sacked as a theater commander by the erstwhile chief of army staff. So what are your thoughts on that situation? If he was sacked for not delivering as a commander of a theater, why is he now the chief of army staff? Secondly, what are the likely implications of this change of guard on the morale, on the mood of the rank and cadre of the Nigerian military? Is this likely to translate to a change in the mood and the morale, as has been reportedly, has been widely reported that has been low in recent times?
Thank you very much. Well, I don't think I can speak competently to why the former chief of army staff relieved the theater commander, then theater commander, of his duties. You have to understand that there are many things that go into such decision making. You know, and I don't want to litigate that unless we look at it fully and then analyze the factors that were involved. But no reasons were really given at the time. Perhaps they just wanted to change personnel. Now, if Mr. President, who is in charge of the security of the entire nation, in his wisdom says, well, I want Mr. Attahiru to go in there and serve as my chief of army staff, then so be it. I think the president has good reason for doing that. But what I was saying about him was that he's a battle-tested commander. That's the point I was making there. And more recently was GOC 82 Div. But now in terms of the question of morale, well, I think you might even have videos. We know that the new chief of defense staff is kind of a legendary figure among the military. So in fact, just the symbols, remember sometimes you manipulate symbols. Just the symbol of having him there as somebody who is a highly acclaimed war hero, and then he's also a military thinker. He's a military scholar. So, I mean, that's a lot of credentials to bring to the table. Not just a man carrying a weapon or just backing out orders. This is somebody who can think through and who can debate And so that intellidection is also very important. Now, so I think that with this, okay, Mr. Gambo also, who I'm familiar with his antecedents, is a very popular naval officer. And so I think this change of gas, and I think much of the resentment or much of the lowering of morale that we saw was because people felt that the guys, not just performance is one factor, but that they had really overstayed. I think that's what it was. You know, they had stayed in the positions for too long, and a lot of people who had aspirations were being retired. And there's a lot of, I mean, yesterday I got a lot of calls from people jubilating about what had happened.
Right. I think there were some other questions she asked as regards what will be the case with the Army, other top officers that will be dropped, the likes of Lamidi Adeosun, Lieutenant General Lamidi Adeosun, and the likes. Can you quickly take that, because we have limited time, and I want to ask a quick question on that. Did you get that?
Go ahead.
Well,
okay,
you know,
okay.
militaries.
Okay, yeah, just make your point quickly.
No,
before
I was saying. Okay, I was saying that the military is a very peculiar institution. It has its traditions, it has its culture, very peculiar culture, and they do their thing there. And I am a citizen. I'm somebody who receives the service of that, who gains benefit from what they do. And I think we'll let them make their own decisions about you know, what happens to actors who were passed over and so on. We cannot make that call for the
real
president.
quickly, I've got two questions, and I've got limited time, sir. So the first question will be about this man. The antecedents of the defense, the chief of defense staff. In fact, he was the one that first talked about the Rana incident before the media picked it up, and a lot of people are commending for that. But this format of having chief of army staff, chief of naval staff, chief of defense staff, and chief of defense staff, is it the way to go, or we should just adopt, you know, a system sort of like the Americans, where they just have chairman, chief of joint staff, vice chairman, chief of joint staff, so that we know that all the you know, the army, the navy, and all the other fire forces are coordinated under one coordinator, because there have been incidents of disparities between chief of defense staff and chief of army staff. You know, everybody trying to be a god in its own right, in its own category. But shouldn't we just have a chief of joint staff and a vice chief of joint staff across all the military paraphernalia?